Hey there, it's time for another episode of Red Plays. In this episode, we're going to go through the setup of Thunderstone Advance. So, Thunderstone is one of my favorite games. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through Thunderstone Advance. It should be known that there are multiple versions of Thunderstone out there. The setup's quite different between the different games. Similar theme, but it's different. So, Thunderstone Quest, I've got down here on my shelf. Thunderstone Quest has a much more complex setup. There's more to it. I've got the Thunderstone Starter set, which is back there on the counter. The card setup's very similar, but there's the layout. There's no mat or anything that goes along with it. I have some of the basic Thunderstone stuff too, the first edition. So that's also very similar to Thunderstone Advance in setup wise, but a lot of times you don't have a play mat to set things on. So let's run through setting up Thunderstone Advance and show you what it takes to get started. So the first thing is you got your box. In your box, you're going to have, boom, a box, which will have a rule book. We set a rule book out of the way because we're not going to go over the rules right now. You're going to have a playboard, and we're going to decide which side of the playboard we want to play with. So the thing to note is there is a dark side of the playboard, and if you look, you have a -2, -4, and -6, and only 3 dungeon slots. And there is a lighter side of the playboard where you have 4 slots, and they're -1, -2, -3, and -4. All right, so for this setup, we're going to go with the darker side of the playboard. And I believe on this side it's called the dungeon. I think on the other side it's called, yeah, the wilderness. All right. And let's get some of the boring stuff out of the way first. So, some of the boring things that are part of your card stack are experience tokens. Well, they're not boring. They're fun to get, but I mean, they're the same in every game, right? So, you need a bunch of experience tokens because you'll need those. I'll set outside a pile of experience tokens. Another thing you're going to need is a stack of disease cards. These are minuses you can get in the game, and they go in this top corner up here for your disease deck. All right, the next thing we'll be looking at is our basic cards. Let's throw those out there. So these are the basic cards. They're part of your starter decks, but you can buy them in the game too. So you have torches. Oh, those are long spears. Long spears. You have some torches, and you have some regulars. Where do my regulars go? Here's my regulars. Oh. Now, as I said, these are cards that you also start out with. So let's get out. For a 2-player game, you would have 2 basic decks. So a basic deck consists of 2 long spears, 2 torches, 2 Thunderstone shards, and 6 regulars. So if we're playing a 2-player, we need 2 sets of these basic decks. So we got 1 basic deck. I'll just put it here for now. And another basic deck. We'll put it here for now. Okay, this is a little bit more of the fun part of Thunderstone. So the next part is we need to populate the dungeon hall, and we need to populate the village. These are the 2 locations you can go to during the game. So all of these little decks that are in here, from in my box from here to here are all of the different types of heroes. From here to here are all of the different types of monsters. From here to here are all of the different types of items you can get in the village. So one of the ways you can populate this is you can pick the ones that you want. Another way to populate this is the game comes with randomizers. And the randomizers will say things like, these are all the hero randomizers, and it says hero randomizer on the back of the card. And then on the front of the card, it's going to have the different heroes. All right. So I can grab my hero randomizers, which are to here. So I shuffle up my hero randomizers and I grab one out. Heruli, Lorig, Bluefire, and the Woodfolk. So what I would do is I would go over here and I would grab out, let's just get one for example. So let's go grab the Woodfolk for example. So my Woodfolk, I'm going to grab out of my box. And I have my wood folk. Now the thing that I need to remember is they need to be in order. So there are level 1, there are level 2s, there are level 3s, and one of the expansions adds level 4s. And they need to be in number order, so your stack should be 1 through 4. All right? And what I would do is I would go out and I would get a hero for each of those stacks. I'm not going to do that now because, I mean, it's going to be the same thing 4 times, right? So there's my wood folk, and I would drop them there. All right? Okay, so the next thing that I need to worry about is my village. So in the village, there's village randomizers. And there's a lot of them because there's a lot of different spots. Now what you will do is you'll go through and you're going to grab 8 things to populate the village. And they could be, you could end up with a mix of 2 spells, 2 items, 2 weapons in 1 villager, or maybe it's 3 weapons, 3 spells, and 2 villagers. Those 8 can be kind of randomized. Now this is also where you may pick. Maybe you like a game that really has weapons, so you always ensure of the 8, 3 of those are weapons. That comes to personal preference, right? So if I go through, so that's a weapon. There's a flaming sword, and I would go and I would grab my flaming swords out of here and I would drop them there. And there we have a item, which is an icon of inversion. We have a chalice mace, which is another weapon. We have a villager. We have a entrail reader. So now we're up to 5. We have another item, which is lightstone gem. We have another item, but our items are already full, so we'll discard this one. And we're still at 6, so we're looking for 2 more things. Another item. We have another item. We're hitting the items. Spell. So there's a soul fire. So we're filling out the spells. We're looking for 1 more thing that we don't have. Another weapon. A frost giant axe. So next would be to go to my piece here, my box, and pull all of the things that correspond to those decks out. Right? So then I would have my heroes full, and I would have my village full of all the things that I need. The last piece of this is filling out the dungeon. So in the dungeon, you're looking for a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3 set of monsters. So you have your monster randomizer deck, which you would then shuffle up. And I'm actually going to pull these out of the box because we need to do some things with those as part of the setup. So if I look here, I have Undead Doom, that's a level 1. So if I draw any more level 1s, then I will not worry about them. Like this one is an ooze, right? It's still level 1, so I'm going to kick that one out. All right, I have there's Chromatic Dragons. That's a level 3, so I'm looking for a level 2. And the Undead Plague. And it also calls out, they tell you a little bit about what those are, and this one says make sure you got your disease deck out, which we put it out there before, so we're good to go. All right, so we need to pull these sets of monsters out, so I'm going to pull out my dragons first, which are my Chromatic Dragons. There should be 10 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 Chromatic Dragons. We have 10 Undead Plague. Let's see if we can find our Undead Plague. Undead Lich. Ooh, the Undead Plague is level 2, so Undead Plague is over here. There's our Undead Plague. And we have, lastly, our Undead Doom. So there's a lot of undead in this deck. Undead Doom. So we should have 30 cards here now that make up our monster deck. So we'll take our monster deck and we're going to shuffle it up. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. All right, the last parts of setting up your monster deck involve the Thunderstone Bearer. So the Thunderstone Bearer is kind of the big baddie at the end. Right? And there's a variety of them that come with the game. So if I go here and I look, I think I have 3 of them as part of what I have with all of my sets, right? So I'm going to figure out which one I want to use. Let's grab, Void Apocalypse, because that sounds nice. So Void Apocalypse will be our Thunderstone Bearer. So we've taken our 3 decks of monster cards here. What we want to do is we want to randomize a little bit where the Thunderstone Bearer is. So we're going to take 10 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're going to take our Thunderstone Bearer, put him into this deck, and then shuffle it up. Shuffle, 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 and we're good to go. Our Thunderstone Bearer is somewhere in these bottom 10 cards, so we know he's in there, but he's at the bottom of the deck. So we're going to go through the rest of the stuff first before we hit the Thunderstone Bearer. But he could be the last card on the bottom. He could be the 11th card from the bottom. We don't know which. All right, so now we're going to populate the dungeon hall. And we've got Ebon Fume, Mithrilian, and Mithrilian. Ooh, so this game would be a really tough one to start because you have 3 big dragons out at the front. And actually, if I was playing this game, I would probably go back and reshuffle till I got a little bit of a mix, because that is a really rough start for a game. Probably throw some ones out there. But if you were hardcore, you'd play with it as is. So you'd have to build up a little bit before you were able to actually go to the dungeon. So at this point, you'd be ready to play. You'd have your basic deck here. Player 1 would have their basic deck. Player 2 would have the other basic deck. Scoot that out of the way because I'm done getting cards. Player 1, player 2, you would take your basic deck and you would shuffle it up. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. You're going to grab 6 cards out of the deck because that's your standard hand size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in. You would have your starting hand. All right? So in this case, I'd be looking at my starting hand with 1, 2, 3, 4 regulars and 2 Thunderstones. And with that set of monsters out there, nobody's going to the dungeon for a while. Or unless they want to bounce off of them and make the monster go to the bottom of the deck, they might. But yeah, so that's how you set up to play Thunderstone. In another video, I'll go through and we'll actually play some Thunderstone. Also pretty soon, I'll have a setup for Thunderstone Quest, and we'll go back and we'll do I think we'll do one for the Thunderstone starter set, which is another one of my favorites because it's got a really basic set of cards in it, and it doesn't have a mat, so I think it would be good to show how to set that one up. So that's it for now. Thank you. Thanks for watching this episode. Please leave any comments or suggestions you have below. If you like this episode, make sure to click on that like button, and you can click on the crazy jackalope to stay up to date with any new content that rolls out.